Hello, I'm Karen Raltz, Social Investment Manager at Chevron. Welcome to the Chevron FAB STEM Fellowship podcast. Chevron is proud to support the Chevron FAB STEM Fellowship. This one-year discovery program is designed for outstanding educators to learn, create, promote innovative and inclusive programs that teach STEM using digital fabrication. Participants in the fellowship program receive a $10,000 stipend to travel to a Chevron Fab Lab and another worldwide lab of their choice. This initiative is part of Chevron's partnership with the Fab Foundation, which aims to foster innovation, inclusivity in STEM education, and community empowerment. Over the years, Chevron and the Fab Foundation have collaborated on numerous initiatives to bring cutting-edge STEM education to underserved communities. We provide resources, training, and support educators, students, and communities at large. So join me in celebrating the achievements of the past Chevron FAB STEM Fellows who have demonstrated excellence in education and innovations. These fellows have made significant contributions to their communities and inspired the next generation of innovators. To learn more about the Chevron FAB Fellowships, please visit the fabfoundation.org website.
Hi, I'm Anne Marie. I'm a high school science teacher working at Wildwood School in Los Angeles, California. I'm one of the 2024 Chevron FAB STEM Fellows. At Wildwood, I teach two courses, Advanced Biology and Neuroscience, to 11th and 12th grade students. My drive to teach stems from the idea that science is as creative a field as art. Science and art are deeply interconnected, and one of the most exciting ways to explore this intersection is through bioart. Bioart requires a deep understanding of organisms, biological processes, and biotechnologies to create a work of art. In my classes, bioart serves as a thread that runs through all our activities. I recently graduated from the Fab Lab, Fab Academy program, where I learned how to use digital fabrication to enhance my bioart curriculum. I'm excited to be part of the Chevron FAB STEM Fellowship, where I've had the amazing opportunity to actively collaborate and exchange ideas with like-minded individuals in Fab Labs. I'm particularly interested in developing open source kits, bioart-based curriculum, and DIY laboratory equipment that could serve as accessible tools for educators around the world. I want to thank Chevron for their generous support, which makes this journey possible. Today, I'm visiting Dr. Jesse Robinson at the Shady Side Academy in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Hi, I'm Jesse Robinson, the director of the Glimcher Tech Design Hub at Shady Side Academy. We are an independent school spanning 4 campuses in Pittsburgh, PA, serving students in grades pre-K through 12th grade. I work at the senior school, which focuses on grades 9 through 12. The Glimcher Tech Design Hub is a 12,000 square foot dynamic facility dedicated to innovation, creativity, technology, and design, which opened in September of 2019. We had a full agenda during Anne-Marie's time here, but I'm going to hand over the mic back to them to tell you more about it.
All right, so I guess the first stop was our first day, where I got a tour of the wonderful campus here, and also of your makerspace. And some of the new buildings, such as the Science Center. And I'm not sure if you want to talk a little bit more about what's happening in your makerspace.
Yeah, so the makerspace kind of is filled with most typical makerspace tools. We have a bunch of 3D printers. We have a laser cutter, vinyl printer cutter, a full wood shop, an epilogue laser cutter, sewing machines, embroidery machines, and a full electronics section that's filled with like Arduinos and Raspberry Pis. Pretty much everything you would find in a typical makerspace. But we're very fortunate to have this brand new facility. So again, it's only been around for about 5 years now. Completely open, well lit from outside, which is unusual for me, being a past technology director who was sort of stuck in a basement with no windows at all for a while. So,
yeah, that's definitely one of the really nice parts of this space. And then we also got a chance to visit Carnegie Mellon's TechSpark, which honestly was an impressive collection of machines and equipment, and had space that was dedicated to makers of all kinds as well.
Yeah, they had a fantastic space dedicated for woodshop specifically, and then they had like suites after suites of Haas CNC mills, which was cool to see. And we had a kind of a brief tour, but just kind of got a pretty good general idea of what students at Carnegie Mellon have access to them, as well as faculty. And I was excited to see it because we definitely send a few of our students every year to Carnegie Mellon. So to see what the next step, like what the next level was coming from the Glimcher to their possibilities at university was kind of exciting to see.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was, yeah, as you well put, it was kind of cool to see the next level of like maker spaces. Yeah, so that also sort of brings me to talk about why I'm here. I'm really interested, as I mentioned, in DIY lab equipment and sort of building my own lab space at Wildwood School. One thing that I'm interested in within the realm of bioart is biomaterials. When we're talking about bioprinters, we're going to be talking a little bit about bioplastics. So I wanted to bring a sort of hands-on workshop to Shadyside on bioplastics specifically. And so how this workshop went, I had sodium alginate, which is you can mix it with water to form a hydrogel, and then a curing agent, which is calcium chloride. And if you mix that in water as well. And then if you put both of these two compounds together, they form this kind of cool, gooey, solidified form that you can really create almost anything out of. You can create thin foils, you can create long strands. People use this to crochet. It's also called bio yarn. So there's a lot of different applications for this. And it was also really fun to be able to sort of present a little bit about like what I do and the curriculum I design at Wildwood and share that with students here.
Yeah, and it came at great timing. My students were kind of in the middle of Arduino lessons, so this was really a nice break. And also a great opportunity to just show like kind of the bridge between the sciences and technology, biology specifically, with what you can do in a makerspace. We don't do any of that in our makerspace. As I think when we talk about material use, the stretch for material use is probably in our 3D printing, where we 3D print in different materials. But that's about it. So this was kind of fantastic. Some of our students had that biology background, and you could see them nodding and understanding, and some of them I could tell were a little bit out of depth with what Anne-Marie was teaching them. But then they started creating the bio yarn, and we were somewhat limited with some of the materials or the tools that we had, but we kind of made do with rubber. Instead of syringes, we had rubber gloves, and so the streams were a little bit larger than I think what we wanted. But then we found some syringes, and I think just watching the students suddenly get like completely 100% engaged in what they're. I mean, first of all, they get to play with goo.
Yeah,
right?
that's exciting.
Yeah, like I mean, who doesn't want to play with goo?
Yeah, for sure.
But then watching it, I think they were wondering why are we stirring this stuff up and clumping, and what's it going to do? And then as soon as it hits the
Calcium chloride.
the calcium chloride, yeah, they saw the strands appear, and I think this kind of the wow factor absolutely hit the students, which was great to see. And I think they spent the rest of the period just like experimenting.
Yeah.
Figuring out what would come out of it if they put giant clumps of it in or little streams. So definitely a huge success, and something I'm probably going to start incorporating into my own lessons. So I'm glad you shared that with us.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's always fun. Biology really lends itself well to, I think, this type of makerspace environment. I mean, the biology lab itself, you're doing hands-on labs. Science as a field is very creative, although it might not necessarily be perceived that way. And it allows students to innovate materials in sort of like a non-threatening way, where it's like fun, engaging. They're naturally going to, try to make larger and larger blobs of things.
And this, I think, eased us right into our next trip. We had the pleasure of visiting University of Pittsburgh and Dr. Daniel Shawarski, for a demo of his bioprinters. And what was fantastic about his group of researchers is they took very inexpensive 3D printers and converted them into very affordable bioprinters, which, on the market, I think they're around $10,000-$20,000, and he's probably converting a regular 3D printer into a bioprinter for about $500-$600, and that was really exciting to see. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, that was really the exciting part for me, was the sort of frugal science behind his work and developing these cheaper bioprinters. And also the fact that all of his work is open source. And I think that that's really incredible. One example of his work on open source bioprinters is his paper development of a high performance open source 3D bioprinter, which is available to the public. And I think what's really awesome about having researchers have their information open to the public is that it makes advanced biotechnology accessible and affordable to everyone. And this promotes community science. And I think if available in the high school setting, allows students to engage in authentic scientific research. And also, just as someone who's interested generally in frugal science and DIY lab equipment, bioprinters are this like cutting edge technology that allows students to explore interesting new sciences such as tissue engineering.
Yeah, and it was neat to meet his team because not only, obviously we had some biologists there, but there was absolutely like more technicians who were kind of their focus was on the 3D printing technology themselves. So while they were all scientists, you saw these kind of different disciplines merging to create this because I would say like most of the people there, or at least two of them, but two that I saw, their focus was just tweaking 3D printers to get the type of measurements and readouts and movements that were going to be needed for the actual bioprinting. So I'm very excited about. He does offer he does offer workshops for different schools. I know he does a summer internship opportunity for students, but then he is also willing to visit schools and hold workshops, which we're hoping to do with him in the near future to modify some of our kind of older antiquated machines into bioprinting. And I'm still the piece of this meeting that still sticks to my mind was he asked the very pivotal question pretty much right from the get-go is like, why do you want to do this? And I didn't really have a good answer. My answer was, well, because we have these printers and we can do it and we should do it. And I could tell he was somewhat disappointed by my answer a little bit, which is fine. I think he should have been disappointed by my answer, but ultimately what it's about is exposure to the students. And if I can expose this kind of science and technology to my kids, maybe it's going to ignite one or two of them to really open their eyes into the possibilities of like moving not just into 3D printing, but 3D printing in kind of the medical biology field, which would be, I think, worth its weight in gold. So it was very neat to see.
And I think you made a really great point in saying that, yeah, there were different types of researchers in that lab. There was folks that were, focused on the biology side of things, and there was folks focused on the 3D printers, the bioprinter side. And I think this highlights the cross-disciplinary work that happens in, research labs. And I have an example actually last year. I had an engineering student. She was really focused on engineering. And when I brought to her the fact that you could convert a 3D printer into bioprinting, her mind was kind of blown that, wow, you can actually do engineering and biology. And so exposing students not only to these sort of cutting edge technologies is important, but also just exposing to the fact that science works across fields and disciplines. And so I think that's important.
Yeah, and I think full circle, that brings us to the nature of makerspaces, right? I mean, makerspaces are designed to promote interdisciplinary learning. I mean, almost everything we do in a makerspace has a foot, one foot in a discipline and the other foot in another discipline. So, I mean, that's the whole point. We're trying to create those bridges, between the liberal arts and the sciences, and I mean, just kind of forming those connections and those partnerships. I know that's one of the main purposes of the Glimcher Tech Design Hub. Our goal was to create the bridges to the different departments on our campus, and kind of have that kind of collaboration across faculty and departments. And for the most part, we've been successful. There's always work to be done. But we're excited what we've done here so far.
Yeah, and I think for my lab back at Wildwood, one of the things and one of the reasons why I'm interested in bioart is also to sort of connect across disciplines. So I'm collaborating with like the art department, the math department, to try to get students thinking about these disciplines more like connected, and also grounding them in something like visual, such as art as well. And I think that encourages like collaboration, and thinking about how different ways to solve complex problems.
Yeah, and I mean today, and which brings us basically today, which is the last day of your visit. Anne-Marie was able to observe my projects in tech and design course. So we went back to the Arduinos, probably much to the chagrin of the students, who probably were excited to play with more goo. Right, so we're in the Arduino phase. I think actually next week we start in the wood shop for the first time, but it was good to have her observe one of our classes and see how our students are acting on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, it also, it was, it's always great to observe another teacher in their practice. And it got me thinking about how I can incorporate Arduinos into my neuroscience class. And it made me sort of think about like different ways of organizing. How do I present like the different like electronic components to them? I appreciated how organized your website was, to be honest. And yeah, it really got me thinking about my own practice. So I always really enjoy observing other people's teaching practices as well.
Great. Yeah, and the rest of the day is we're going to do some more demos of the equipment in the Glimcher Tech and Design Hub, and see what Anne-Marie can bring back with her to the Wildwood and for outfitting her own makerspace. So excited to learn those. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Great.
Cool.
Well, thank you very much. We hope you got a good glimpse of this trip, and yeah, we thank you.
The Chevron FAB STEM Fellowship is a one-year discovery program for outstanding educators to learn about, create, and promote innovative and inclusive programs that teach STEM using digital fabrication and engage new and underrepresented student populations in STEM education and careers. The program is inspired by Chevron's social investment strategy and the global Fab Lab network, both of which foster innovation, learning, and invention. Fab Labs, with their suite of digital fabrication tools and prototyping machines, including laser cutters, 3D printers, vinyl cutters, and milling machines, are inspiring young people across the world to learn about science, technology, engineering, and math STEM. These are safe and accessible places to play, create, learn, mentor, and invent. The fellowship awards a stipend of $10,000 to each selected educator to use toward creating and disseminating new, inclusive practices in STEM education and hands-on impactful making. The fellows will visit a few Fab Labs of their choice anywhere in the world to learn, to reflect, to co-create new curriculum and disseminate new practices. Their work will be published in podcasts, online blogs, and through talks and presentations at conferences and educational events over the coming year. For more information about this podcast series and the Chevron FAB STEM Fellowship Program, please reach out to us at cvxfabstem@fabfoundation.org.